Hey guys, how's it going? So first things first, Happy New Year. This is my first video of 2026, and talking about 2026, we're finally in the Paramount era of UFC. 2025 closed the book on their ESPN deal. We're now into Paramount, and that's going to be the subject of this video. I'm going to talk about 5 things I really want to see in UFC in 2026 with this new Paramount deal, and we'll just get straight into it with number 1. I want to see a lot less fight nights held in the Apex this year. Now this is something easier said than done, because when UFC signed with Paramount, they promised 30 fight nights a year. Same number as with the ESPN deal, so they're not going to reduce the number of fight nights per year, but I think they honestly could benefit from something like that. Or hopefully in the future they can renegotiate with Paramount, maybe even just drop the number by 2 fight nights a year, get rid of 2 Apex events. I think that would really help the sort of feeling of congestion we get, especially near the end of the year when they're throwing together these fight nights in the Apex to meet contractual obligations, because near the end of last year we got fight nights like Bonfim versus Brown, Garcia versus Anama, Delitse versus Hernandez, all in the Apex, and these were really weak cards. The main events themselves weren't particularly great for main events. Most of the cases it's unranked or very low ranked fighters versing each other. The co-mains especially, in most cases unranked fighters. Below that on the main card, no real intrigue to them. They've just been kind of sloppily thrown together to meet these contractual obligations, I feel like. And even if we can get rid of 2 events per year and just move the fighters that were gonna fight on those Apex events to either different fight nights in arenas or even as like prelims on pay-per-views, I think that would heavily benefit, because Brown vs Bonfim, not a bad fight. Garcia vs Anama, not a bad fight. Those could be 2 prelim closers on stacked pay-per-views, maybe a main card opener on a less stacked pay-per-view, and they're not bad fights to watch. But as a main event of a Apex card, it's not that intriguing, especially to casual viewers. Most of the time they'll skip over these Apex cards, or just if they have something on, they're not going to make way to watch them, because really it's not worth it. So I think the first thing the UFC can do in 2026 to benefit is get rid of some of these Apex cards, move them to crowded arenas, or renegotiate and try and move some of these Apex event fighters to other cards and reduce the number overall of these Apex fight nights. But yeah, that's what I want to see first thing in 2026. Number 2, I want to see more custom fight shorts this year. Now, the custom fight shorts have been a bit of a mixed bag. You have really great ones: Alexander Volkanovski, Ilya Topuria, Alex Pereira, Max Holloway. You have some not so great ones: Justin Gaethje, Stipe Miocic, Juliana Pena, Michael Chandler, etc. But overall, I do think they have been a net positive. They've added that distinctness to each fighter. That very generic look has been replaced by something more identifiable and a bit more vibrant. And I think they could only benefit from increasing the number of fight shorts. I'd say give every fighter in the top 5, even push that to the top 10, an opportunity to make their own fight shorts, or have them make fight shorts for every fighter in the top 10. Completely optional, they don't have to, but I can't see anything but benefits from this. There's fighters that I'm surprised haven't gotten a pair of fight shorts yet. Yuri Prohaska would have a really cool, maybe samurai design. Robert Whittaker, you could do a cool Reaper sort of design, Grim Reaper look. Michael Morales, up and comer, you could do something maybe Michael Morales Spider-Man wise, or Venom. These are all ideas, but overall I think they should give the opportunity to every top 5 fighter to have a pair of custom shorts, even top 10. And let's extend this. We could do this with gyms. The fighting nerds could have their own pair of custom shorts, maybe small differences fighter to fighter, but I think it'd be really cool to have all the fighting nerds in a very similar looking kit. And custom gloves. We've seen that for the Max Holloway fight against Charles Oliveira, they've offered Max Holloway custom gloves that matches shorts. Let's give that to every fighter that already has a pair of custom shorts, and the fighters that will have custom shorts in the future. Let's match the gloves with the pants. I think that will be a really solid look. And yeah, I just want to see more creativity with the custom shorts, more of them for lower ranked fighters in that top 10. And yeah, let's bring custom gloves into the mix as well. Number 3, I want to see 2 seasons of the Dana White Contender Series a year, opposed to the one we normally get. Maybe have them bookend the year, one at the start, one at the end. Either way, I don't really care about the time frame. I just want to see 2 seasons per year, because I think the Dana White Contender Series is a gold mine for future prospects and future champions. We have the OGs who have got contracts off the Contender Series: Sean O'Malley, Johnny Walker, Jamar Hill, Carlos Ulberg, Jack Della Maddalena, just to name a few, on top of all of the fighting nerds as well. And then even recently we've been flooded with this wave of these new prospects, these new up-and-comers, really dangerous fighters: Islam Dulatov, Mario Pinto, Kevin Ivan Vallejos, Ateba Gautier, Navajo Sterling, Quillen Salkild, Malcolm Wellmaker, just to name a few. There's plenty more. And I think the Dana White Contender Series is the best way to go when it comes to finding these new fighters to enter the company. There is Tough, and the reason why I'm not calling for another season of that is because if you're lucky, you get 4. Most of the time, you only get 2 upcoming prospects from Tough. The Contender Series, theoretically, you can get up to like 10 or 12 out of a single season. Now, obviously, that's being pretty generous with the contracts. Ideally, you get 2 or 3 prospects out of a season. But if we get 2 seasons, that's 6 new prospects. You can be a bit more stingy with those contract holdouts. But yeah, I think there's no real downside to having a second season of the Contender Series within a year. There's definitely an abundance of people willing to fight on the show, so I don't see any downside to it. Give us 2 seasons of the Contender Series a year and we'll move on. Moving into number 4, I want to see some massive improvements in the way the UFC promotes and announces their fights. Currently, when it comes to announcements, it's really, really bad. All we get is a Dana White live stream, starts the live stream, reads through a notes app or whatever about the fights that it's chosen to announce that day, and then ends the live. We get an Instagram post with all the fights is announced a couple minutes later. That's it. What happened to the days of the epic trailers we used to get? Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo is a prime example. We got a really, really exciting, energetic hype trailer, multiple press conferences. That's how you promote a fight. Not currently what's happening. We barely get any entertaining press conferences. Most of the time they get cut off short. And one thing that I think the UFC could do, give us multiple seasonal press conferences. In fact, one of the best press conferences we got in a long time was the 2024 seasonal press conference. You had Sean and Drickus going back and forth, Volk and Ilya having a bit of a moment when Ilya tries to take his belt. We had Sean and Cheeto, and they're all interacting with each other. Sean was interacting with Strickland. Sean O'Malley and Strickland were interacting. Strickland was interacting with Cheeto. I think having 3-month intervals, you can have 4 a year as well with this. Have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December in those 3-month chunks, and have those fights come up, have a joint press conference. It gives a lot more potential for this potential untapped gold mine of having these fighters interact with each other when they usually wouldn't. And another thing, what happened to the face-to-face interviews? We originally saw it with DC and Jones and Masvidal and Till, where they'd sit in the same room and go back and forth with each other with someone sort of mediating in the middle. We got one somewhat recently over a call with Ilia Topuria, Brendan Fitzgerald and Max Holloway for UFC 308, where they had a bit of a moment back and forth. It produced heaps of memes as well, with Ilia punching the air above him or who's Joe. These really iconic moments. And why don't we do this for every fight? Have the fighters sit down in the same room a week before the fight, have a bit of a back and forth with each other, and I think this is just a way that we can get excited for these fights again, because currently the press conferences are kind of average. We don't really get that much, and when we do, it gets cut short most of the time. Give us more seasonal ones, 4 a year ideally, and some more face-to-face interviews would be really nice. And closing out this video of number 5, I want to see a massive crackdown on fouling and the behavior that leads to fouling within fights. And I think 2025 has been the wake-up call for referees to start deducting points a lot quicker, to keep warning about the fingers and about other fouling methods, with UFC 321 being a shining example of how detrimental a single foul can be to the outcome of an entire event. UFC 321 leading into it was set up to be one of the best events of the year, and one eye poke completely ruined that. The main event ended in an incredibly unsatisfactory way, especially with the sort of will he won't he of Tom Aspinall defending that belt and eventually becoming the champion with one defense under his belt. And it ends in a really, really underwhelming way, derails the whole event, probably the worst event of the year just because of that. And I don't think the UFC are going to take any more risks when it comes to this Paramount deal. They can't have another pay-per-view fall through like that, especially now that they're getting a more casual audience to watch these pay-per-views without paying for them. I don't think they're going to run that risk. And even in the final fight night of the year, Cap versus Royval, we saw a little inception of this stricter rules towards fouls. With the Marcus Pacheco fight, Kennedy Nzechukwu fight, Herb Dean was really quick to deduct points for valid reasons as well, ultimately ending that fight being a draw. So Nzechukwu would have won if he didn't keep eye poking and extending the fingers towards the eye. And I think we need to see that more in 2026. 2025, a year full of fouls. That wasn't even the only eye poke foul to to end a fight in the case of Tom Aspinall. We also had Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo as well. And on top of that, I noticed so many fouling opportunities and so many fouls being ignored within 2025. A lot of fence grabs, a lot of takedowns denied through fence grabs, a lot of eye pokes, a lot of threatening to do eye pokes as well, especially from the same fighters. Song Yadong, Cyril Gane, Nasruddin Imavov, they always seem to be the ones eye poking, while there's other fighters who didn't get a single eye poke foul in 2025. So for that reason, I want to see a massive crackdown on fouling to really just make sure that we don't get another disaster like UFC 321 in 2026. So that's it, guys. Those are 5 things I want to see the UFC implement in 2026 moving into their new Paramount deal. And this Paramount deal is looking really promising. We've gotten some really good pay-per-view cards. The main events are really solid. Even the main cards for most of them are really, really good. In between that, we've got some pretty solid fight nights as well. I mean, Strickland Hernandez is pretty solid. Batista, Vinicius Oliveira, kind of less so, but I'm still pretty excited to see that one. In the future, we've got quite a few confirmed events happening in London and other locations, so get excited for them. It's looking pretty optimistic. Obviously, it's a bit early to tell. We've still got the rest of the year, but so far, so good. Still a couple of weeks until UFC 324, so in the meantime, I'm going to try and make some content, just miscellaneous content. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.